The Commentators. Zunzi can boast an exceptionally long distinguished roll of commentators, which would do honor to any classic. Ouyang Zhou remarks on this fact, though he wrote before the tale was complete, and rather ingeniously explains it by saying that the artifices of war, being inexhaustible, must therefore be susceptible of treatment in a great variety of ways. Cao Cao, or Cao Gong, afterwards known as Wei Wu Di, AD 155 to 220. There's hardly any room for doubt that the earliest commentary on Sun Tzu actually came from the pen of this extraordinary man, whose biography in The Romance of the Three Kingdoms reads like a romance. One of the greatest military geniuses that the world has seen, and Napoleonic in the scale of his operations, he was especially famed for the marvelous rapidity of his marches, which has found expression in the line, "Talk of Cao Cao, talk of Cao Cao, and Cao Cao will appear." Ouyang Shou says of him that he was a great captain who measured his strength against Dong Zhuo, Lu Bu, and the two Yuan, father and son, and vanquished them all, whereupon he divided the empire of Han with Wu and Shi, and made himself king. It is recorded that whenever a council of war was held by Wei on the eve of a far-reaching campaign, he had all his calculations ready. Those generals who made use of them did not lose one battle in 10. Those who ran counter to them in any particular saw their armies incontinently beaten and put to flight. Cao Gong's notes on Sun Tzu, models of austere brevity, are so thoroughly characteristic of the stern commander known to history that it is hard indeed to conceive of them as the work of a mere litterateur. Sometimes, indeed, owing to extreme compression, they are scarcely intelligible and stand no less in need of a commentary than the text itself. As we have seen, Cao Gong is the reputed author of the Xin Shu, a book of war in 100,000 odd words, now lost, but mentioned in the Wei Zhi. 2. Meng Shi. The commentary which has come down to us under this name is comparatively meager, and nothing about the author is known. Even his personal name has not been recorded. Ji Tianbao's edition places him after Jia Lin, and Chao Gongwu also assigns him to the Tang dynasty. But this is a mistake, as his work is mentioned in the Cui Shu Jing Ji Zhi. In Sun Xingyan's preface, he appears as Meng Shi of the Liang dynasty, 502 to 557. Others would identify him with Meng Kang of the 3rd century. In the Songshi Yi Wan Zhi, he is named in one work as the last of the 5 commentators, the others being Wei Wu Di, Du Mu, Chen Hao, and Jia Lin. 3. Li Quan of the 8th century was a well-known writer on military tactics. His Tai Bai Ying Jing has been in constant use down to the present day. The Tong Zhi mentions Kun Wai, Zhun Zhou, lives of the famous generals from the Zhou to the Tang dynasty, as written by him. He is also generally supposed to be the real author of the popular Taoist tract, the In Hu Jing. According to Chao Gongwu and the Tian Yi Ge catalog, he followed the Tai Yi Dun Jia text of Zunzi, which differs considerably from those now extant. His notes are mostly short and to the point, and he frequently illustrates his remarks by anecdotes from Chinese history. Four. Du Yo, died 812, did not publish a separate commentary on Zunzi, his notes being taken from the Tongdian, the encyclopedic treatise on the Constitution which was his life work. They are largely repetitions of Cao Gong and Meng Shi, besides which it is believed that he drew on the ancient commentaries of Wang Ling and others. Owing to the peculiar arrangement of Tongdian, he has to explain each passage on its merits, apart from the context, and sometimes his own explanation does not agree with that of Cao Gong, whom he always quotes first. Though not strictly to be reckoned as one of the 10 commentators, he was added to their number by Ji Tianbao, being wrongly placed after his grandson Du Mu. 5. Du Mu, 803 to 852, is perhaps the best known as a poet, a bright star even in the glorious galaxy of the Tang period. We learn from Chao Gongwu that although he had no practical experience of war, he was extremely fond of discussing the subject, and was moreover well read in the military history of the Chungzhou and Jianguo eras. His notes, therefore, are well worth attention. They are very copious and replete with historical parallels. The gist of Zunzi's work is thus summarized by him. Practice benevolence and justice, but on the other hand make full use of artifice and measures of expediency. He further declared that all the military triumphs and disasters of the 1,000 years which had elapsed since Sun Wu's death would, upon examination, be found to uphold and corroborate, in every particular, the maxims contained in his book. Du Mu's somewhat spiteful charge against Cao Gong has already been considered elsewhere. 6. Chen Hao appears to have been a contemporary of Du Mu. Chao Gongwu says that he was impelled to write a new commentary on Zunzi because Cao Gong's, on the one hand, was too obscure and subtle, and that of Du Mu, on the other, too long-winded and diffuse. Ouyang Shou, writing in the middle of the 11th century, calls Cao Gong, Du Mu, and Chen Hao the 3 chief commentators on Zunzi, Sanjia, and observes that Chen Hao is continually attacking Du Mu's shortcomings. His commentary, though not lacking in merit, must rank below those of his predecessors. 7. Jia Lin is known to have lived under the Tang dynasty, for his commentary on Zunzi is mentioned in the Book of Tang, and was afterwards republished by Ji Xie of the same dynasty together with those of Meng Shi and Du You. It is of somewhat scanty texture, and in point of quality too, perhaps the least valuable of the 11. 8. Mei Yao Chen, 1002 to 1060. Commonly known by his style as Mei Shengyu, was, like Du Mu, a poet of distinction. His commentary was published with a laudatory preface by the great Ouyang Shou, from which we may cull the following. Later scholars have misread Zunzi, distorting his words and trying to make them square with their own one-sided views. Thus, though commentators have not been lacking, only a few have proved equal to the task. My friend Sheng Yu has not fallen into this mistake. In attempting to provide a critical commentary for Zunzi's work, he does not lose sight of the fact that these sayings were intended for states engaged in internecine warfare. that the author is not concerned with the military conditions prevailing under the sovereigns of the three ancient dynasties, nor with the 9 punitive measures prescribed to the minister of war. Again, Sun Wu loved brevity of diction, but his meaning is always deep. Whether the subject be marching an army, or handling soldiers, or estimating the enemy, or controlling the forces of victory, it is always systematically treated. The sayings are bound together in strict logical sequence, though this has been obscured by commentators who have probably failed to grasp their meaning. In his own commentary, Mei Shengyu has brushed aside all the obstinate prejudices of these critics and has tried to bring out the true meaning of Zunzi himself. In this way, the clouds of confusion have been dispersed and the sayings made clear. I am convinced that the present work deserves to be handed down side by side with the 3 great commentaries, and for a great deal that they find in the sayings, coming generations will have constant reason to thank my friend Sheng Yu. Making some allowance for the exuberance of friendship, I am inclined to endorse this favorable judgment, and would certainly place him above Chen Hao in order of merit. 9. Wang Shi, also of the Song dynasty, is decidedly original in some of his interpretations, but much less judicious than Mei, Yao, Chen, and on the whole not a very trustworthy guide. He is fond of comparing his own commentary with that of Cao Gong, but the comparison is not often flattering to him. We learn from Chao Gong Wu that Wang Shi revised the ancient text of Zunzi, filling up lacunae and correcting mistakes. 10. He Yan Shi of the Song dynasty. The personal name of this commentator is given as above by Zheng Chao in the Tongzhi, written about the middle of the 12th century, but he appears simply as He Shi in the Yu Hai, and Ma Duan Lin quotes Chao Gong Wu as saying that his personal name is unknown. There seems to be no reason to doubt Zheng Chao's statement. Otherwise, I should have been inclined to hazard a guess and identify him with one He Chu Fei, the author of a short treatise on war entitled Bei Lun, who lived in the latter part of the 11th century. He Shi's commentary, in the words of the Tian Yi Ge catalog, 有错必异, contains helpful additions, here and there, but is chiefly remarkable for the copious extracts taken in adapted form from the dynastic histories and other sources. 11. Zhang Yu. The list closes with a commentator of no great originality, perhaps, but gifted with admirable powers of lucid exposition. His commentary is based on that of Cao Gong, whose terse sentences he contrives to expand and develop in masterly fashion. Without Zhang Yu, it is safe to say that much of Cao Gong's commentary would have remained cloaked in its pristine obscurity and therefore valueless. His work is not mentioned in the Song history, the Tong Kao, or the Yu Hai, but it finds a niche in the Tongzhi, which also names him as the author of the Lives of Famous Generals. It is rather remarkable that the last named 4 should all have flourished within so short a space of time. Chao Gong Wu accounts for it by saying, during the early years of the Song dynasty, the empire enjoyed a long spell of peace, and men ceased to practice the art of war. But when Zhao Yuan Hao's rebellion came, 1038 to 1042, and the frontier generals were defeated time after time, the court made strenuous inquiry for men skilled in war, and military topics became the vogue amongst all the high officials. Hence it is that the commentators of Zunzi in our dynasty belong mainly to that period. Besides these 11 commentators, there are several others whose work has not come down to us. The Cui Shu mentions 4, namely Wang Ling, often quoted by Du You as Wang Zi, Zhang Zishang, Jia Shu of Wei, and Shen Yu of Wu. The Tang Shu adds Cun Gao and the Tong Zhi, Shao Ji, while the Tu Shi, no, while the Tu Shu mentions a Ming commentator, Huang Run Yu. It is possible that some of these may have been merely collectors and editors of other commentaries, like Ji Tianbao and Ji Xie mentioned above. Certainly in the case of the latter, the entry Ji Xie Zhu Cun Zi in the Tong Kao without the following note would give one to understand that he had written an independent commentary of his own. There are two works described in the Ziku Chuan Shu, and no doubt extremely rare, which I should much like to have seen. One is entitled Zunzu Zan Tong in 5 zhuan. It gives selections from 4 new commentators, probably of the Ming Dynasty, as well as from the 11 known to us. The names of the 4 are Jie Yan, Zhang Ao, Li Zun, and Huang Zhizheng. The other work is Cunzi Hui Zheng in 4 zhuan, compiled by Zheng Duan of the present dynasty. It is a compendium of information on ancient warfare, with special reference to Cunzi's 13 chapters.